Welcome to Module 8. This topic is Pluto. So let's get right into it. Pluto's initiation is about empowerment. It often works through disempowerment. So the point of us becoming fully embodied in our personal power, in order for us to do that, a lot of times, I'm not going to say every time, but it a lot of times works through disempowering, taking away things that we think we need. Pluto initiation astrologically will happen for everybody at least once. Pluto in the sky will be at a 90-degree angle to your natal Pluto. This is a Pluto square. Everybody will have one sometime between the age of 34 and 40. So it can be, usually around 35, 36, you're having that initiation, 37. And right around 37, 38, you have your first nodal return. So it's sort of like you got to go to the depths of yourself. And then nodal return happens around every 18, 19 years. And this is a time where we get to fully realize ourselves at that specific phase of life that we're in. So at around 37, 38, you get to self-realize only after you've had that Pluto initiation. And at some times, I have seen some people having both the nodal return and the Pluto initiation at the same time. So that can also happen. It will be sometime before 40 though, because then at 40, between 40 and 46, you have what is known as the midlife crisis. So we get Pluto first. And so basically what this initiation is about is removing everything in our life that is an obstacle to becoming fully who we are. During my Pluto initiation, I lost my best friend, who was 40% of my business. The loss of him in my life, which was very dramatic, chaotic, scary, very disempowering, because it involved a SWAT team and police and him being taken to jail where he still is, and sentenced to he's sentenced to 33 years. So that loss of that relationship forced me to change a lot of things, like my relationships with men. He was my best friend, but he also filled a lot of other roles in my life. He was like a father figure to my youngest son. He was somebody who my daughter would talk to when she, it was kind of like a father figure in a way to the kids. And 40% of my business. So he bought packages for massages and gifted them to his clients, or customers rather. And when he left, that was 40% of my business, which is the way that I primarily support my 3 kids as a mother that wasn't not receiving child support, or from one, I'll say minimum, because it was I was getting some child support, but as somebody who needed to live in Southern California, support 3 kids, support myself, and 40% of my business gone overnight meant that I needed to discover really quickly what other energy sources within myself that I could resource myself with. So at that point, instead of primarily doing what I'd done to make money, I needed to overnight, okay, here's my other talents and gifts with herbalism, with astrology, with making jewelry, with making herbal medicine. Now I need to find a way to channel those other gifts and talents that I have into becoming a resource for myself to support myself and my 3 kids. So that Pluto initiation, and there was 5 things that happened during my Pluto initiation. This is just the topic that jumped into my mouth, and so I'm sharing this one thing. But there were other things that required me to shed a part of myself that I had became so used to saying, this is who I am. I am a mother. I am the mother of these kids. And now what if one of these kids decides to no longer exist? Now, who am I without these 3 kids that I decided I was the mother of? Who am I when my best friend and 40% of my business is no longer here? So the question is, who am I without my stuff? One thing that in my mentorship program that I wrote about was the question. Actually, this you might find this question in Scorpio season here. When I die, what dies with me? So this is about our own personal life, death, our own regeneration, our own capacity to regenerate. So who am I without my stuff? What is it within me that when I die, it also dies? So the Pluto initiation is meant to bring that out. When I die, what dies with me? The Pluto initiation is meant to bring that out. And it usually will work through getting rid of everything that's not that. That meaning what dies with me when I die? Possibly it could have been my herbal medicine skills and the gift that I have to create alchemy between the plants and create relationships with plants that make healing medicine. That might have died with me. My ability to use crystals in certain combinations to create a specific healing effect for people individually according to their astrology chart and what it is that they're wanting to achieve in their life. That might have died with me. This school may have never been born because if I would have stayed wrapped up in who I thought I was as a massage therapist who owned a wellness center and who was a single mother of 3 kids, these other things may have died if I would have died before I had that Pluto initiation, which brought all of that inner juiciness, my inner genius, out to the surface. So, although it works through disempowerment, it works through taking things away, through killing off a part of yourself. Who am I without my stuff? What dies when I die? What did I not birth? So it's a process of regenerating ourselves and birthing our greatest gifts out into humanity as your personal power. It's not about being in service. It's not about, oh, you're depriving the world of your talents and gifts. I mean, that is a part of it, and I'm not sure if that's just a guilt shame thing, but it's that you were born with certain juiciness, a certain inner genius or an inner genie within you. And you're not fully living unless you're tapping into that part of yourself, which is soulful. It is creative. It is your sex energy. It is your ability to merge your mind with your creative energy and birth a project or some sort of life force energy in the form of some kind of thing. And it probably is going to be weird. It's probably not going to be like, oh, I birthed out an executive role at this corporation. I don't see it that way. I see it as it's your inner juiciness, your inner genius that comes out, and it's like, and then I was starting to teach men how to masturbate and create a feeling of love for themselves. I was a sex educator that was specializing in women being able to have sex with themselves and make love to themselves, hold their heart while they're, moving their yoni. This is like, it's totally unique to the person. And it's also usually going to be some taboo topic. No, the things that I mentioned, like I started using my herbalist skills, I started making jewelry out of gemstones, and charge. I was always doing these things. I just wasn't charging for them. The jewelry, the herbalist, and the astrology. I started charging to read astrology. I would kind of just meet up and tell people things about their chart, but I didn't charge for it. So these are kind of taboo things. It's a thing that I was passionate about, but I didn't necessarily share about it. And as I'm saying this, I'm being guided to say that there will be more. I know that there's more. I know that opening this up and like, what is my inner juiciness? What's my inner genius? That it's constantly unfolding. And at the first Pluto initiation, if you don't fully come out with it, I don't know that how it goes. I think that if we don't fully surrender into the Pluto initiation, that we possibly are just start dying. Instead of start living, I think we start dying. I think we start calcifying, getting heavy, weighted down, and we turn off the life force. We turn off that Kundalini energy, and then we suppress with pills. When we go into menopause, we just keep suppressing with pills. We don't ever fully, spin that energy into birthing ourselves, the bigger version of ourselves that includes our inner genius, which is usually in the pelvis. It's been pushed down into the lowest base of our body, repressed emotions, repressed desires. Those all become like some inner child that's locked away and becomes wild, and we just keep trying to hold it in and push it down. At the Pluto initiation, we're given an opportunity to fully surrender to letting that inner genius come out. So Pluto works through the dark night of the soul, through disempowerment, through heaviness, dark feelings, a sense of loss. There's sometimes grief and fear involved. I recommend reading The Descent of the Goddess. I can add this to a list in this video topic. This A Woman's Way of Initiation. They also will share about Inanna's story, where Inanna goes through the 7 layers of the underworld to fully go into the underworld, where she's then hung on a meat hook by her sister and fully surrenders herself. And then there's some helper who comes through in the I think of this as Mercury coming through to communicate with Inanna with messages from the gods, where she is then able to save herself, which is what we do in our life. And in the Pluto initiation, it's through that Pluto element. So in the body, I think of Pluto as the womb, or as the male version of the womb, which is that little sac called prostate. So I think of this as that part of our body that has to do with regeneration, nurturing, sending fluid out to nurture the sperm. And it's something that we can feel, we can palpate it with our hands. It's deep, dark. I think in the female, if the female would have been male, the womb would have been the prostate, and vice versa. At that moment, the fetus is deciding whether to descend with the regenerative organs or to ascend. I think that these uterus, womb, and prostate are the same thing, just changed by the choice to become female or male. So I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll pick up with another Pluto topic before we get into the 8th house. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.